Hi, I'm Nicholeen, and I teach parenting all over the world through the lens of the principles self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about teaching 4-year-olds patience. Is it even possible for 4-year-olds to be patient? The answer is yes, it is. Of course, there are a lot of different temperaments and personalities that we're working with because there's a myriad of 4-year-olds out there. However, by age 4, developmentally, they can learn to wait and they can have a certain amount of patience. So in this video, we're going to be sharing some stories about 4-year-olds who learned to be patient, and then we're going to talk about what you can do to increase patience in your 4-year-old. So why are 4-year-olds not patient sometimes? Well, because they're 4. So when a person is 4, they have a higher level of anxiety. They're also at a stage where they can do more things. So more things than when they were 3 or when they were 2. So they're learning and they're growing, they're advancing, they're starting to develop more muscle tone, they're stronger now suddenly. And so they want to try new things. They get new ideas. The sparks are flying. Did you know that the 4- and 5-year-old brains are the most active brains that's ever in our lifetime? When we are 5 years old, we have more synapses that have formed in our brains. Now, synapses are things that connect all the pieces of the brains together. They hook information and experiences together for our learning. There are more of those in a 5-year-old brain than at any other time during our lives. That's a lot of activity. That's a ton. No wonder 4-year-olds act like they know everything and they start bossing and they get emotional and they want to try new things. They sometimes do dangerous things. They do a lot of things because they're hooking together all of those pieces. Life is so exciting. It's so exciting when you're 4 years old. Just things are happening. They're learning all their letters. Many of them are learning to read. There's just so many amazing things that they can do when they're 4. Suddenly, they are able to create things in their mind more. So a 4-year-old has a very active imagination. They start making up jokes and stories and alternative realities. They start seeing the world through this lens that makes it so they don't want to sit still for very long. That just doesn't seem very fun, not when life is that exciting. But of course, parents need their children to learn how to be patient and sit still, how to wait their turn, wait to have something given to them. They need their children to learn that they don't get everything that they want right when they want it. And I think all good parents do try to teach this. Sometimes it can be very frustrating for parents, however, because the children don't seem to want the lesson. There's whininess, complaining, anger, frustration, crying. Parents do not like that stuff. And you know what? I think 4-year-olds know that the parents don't like that stuff. Now, not all 4-year-olds are covertly trying to make their parents upset, but when they get a certain reaction from their parents, they do learn cause and effect, that if it's important to them, they should cry about it or whine about it, and maybe the parents will make it go away. So it is important that all of the little power struggles that the children try to do when they're age 4 don't actually work for them. They need to learn better ways to communicate if they need to tell you something, and if they feel like they shouldn't have to wait for a certain reason. But let's talk about what we can do to help them to learn to wait, to be patient. And it starts oftentimes when they're little. Now, if you can start when they're younger than 4, all the better. If you can start when they're 18 months or 2, all the better. But you can start at age 4 and it's just fine. One of the biggest things that you do is you prepare them to be successful at their patience with each new situation that's going to be upcoming. Now, as you know, if you are subscribed to this channel, I talk a lot about the skills and principles of self-government. And one of those skills of self-government is pre-teaching. So pre-teaching is when you prepare a child ahead of time for what is coming. Now, when you pre-teach 4-year-olds, they will actually make the better choice more often. So they will probably choose the right instead of choosing the wrong the greater percentage of the time if you spend a lot of time pre-teaching them about what's to come and what they should do, what skills they should utilize during the upcoming interaction. Now, there are 4 basic skills that the children are taught in the Teaching Self self-government parenting approach, and I have books that teach all of those 4 basic skills. These 4 children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. Every single one of these 4 basic skills teaches children patience. They have to learn to wait and that they don't get everything their way. Now let's just look at these skills. This one here, London LaRae says okay, teaches the skill following instructions. Sometimes our children don't want to do something right when we want them to do it. Sometimes they would rather do something else. And so they get frustrated about that. They become impatient that they can't do whatever it is that they wanted to do. So we teach them the 5 steps to following an instruction. When they learn these 5 steps to following instructions, they learn how to be calm. They learn how to do tasks immediately. They also learn that those tasks do not have to take forever, but that as soon as they start focusing on them, they're closer to getting done with them. They learn how to work when they learn how to follow instructions. Super important. This book here, Porter Earns a Quarter, teaches the skill accepting no answers and criticism. When a person learns the 4 steps to accepting a no answer or criticism, they learn how to be patient when things don't go their way. They learn that they can be calm. They learn that they can drop the subject. They learn that they can communicate with someone appropriately if they feel like they don't agree with that person. This book here, Big Win for Quinn, teaches children how to accept consequences. When a person gets the opportunity to accept a consequence, then they can learn self-government. Otherwise, it's always just something that happens to them. They have to actually accept their consequences. This requires a lot of patience. When a child earns a negative consequence and they have to actually accept that that was true, they earned that, and follow through with that negative consequence, they have to stick to the task for however long it takes to get it done. And they have to do all of the practices of doing things the right way that are part of the correction as well. This also increases patience. Another thing, when they're accepting a correction, they have to look at the person who's giving the correction the whole time. That means they have to focus in on actually paying attention to what's going on, what's being said to them. This book, Paige Takes the Stage, teaches the skill disagreeing appropriately. Now, we don't always get everything that we want all the time, right? Children need to know that. So often when it looks like they're not having patience, it's because they don't know how to get their point across to another person, and so they're just trying to wear them down or make enough of a fuss that they will be able to capture the other person's attention instead of wait for it. But they can wait for it. When you learn to disagree appropriately, you start learning how to listen to somebody else. Disagreeing appropriately is a skill that you use when you feel like you need to share your opinion with someone else. But it's a seek to understand, then to be understood skill, which means that you need to first say that you understand the other person's point of view before you share your point of view. Then you have to wait and listen to what they say, what their decision is, and then you have to say okay and drop the subject, which means even after doing all of that good communication, listening, and understanding, you still might not get your way. Although hopefully it works a lot of the time so that you develop that skill, because that disagreeing appropriately skill really is the gateway skill to self-government, because it engages the prefrontal cortex, disengages the amygdala, and the other emotional centers of the brain. Another thing that you can do to teach your child patience is to give more instructions. So make sure they get the opportunity to follow a lot of instructions. Also, make sure that your child has the opportunity to be corrected as quickly as possible when something happens. That way, they have to stop, listen, evaluate, and take new action. They have to shift their course in a pretty quick way. That teaches a person that they can't always control everything that's going on, and that sometimes they have to be adaptable or adjust to their circumstances. Usually people that are a little bit more patient are people that are able to adapt to changing circumstances. When people are more rigid and they can't adapt, then they have a hard time being patient, because they feel like if anything is is shifting or going in a direction that is not with what they think it should be, that they can't stay silent about it. They can't let it pass by without some sort of an emotional thing happening. If your child is struggling with patience, start with the 4 basic skills. Work on corrections, pre-teaching, which is going to be very helpful, praising. All of the things associated with the Teaching Self-Government Parenting program should help with that patience. But I'll tell you one thing that's going to make the biggest difference, and that's if you are patient. Now, probably you're looking at this video because you are, but if you need help with your patience and your calmness so that you can set that right example for your child, then I have something for you. I have a free gift. It's my Calm Parenting Toolkit. In the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. And that toolkit has 10 tools to help you be more calm in your parenting. It will give you things that you can focus on so that you can be more patient with your child too, and be more patient with yourself as well. So click on the link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit now, and you can have it for free. I'll see you there.